Well, let's do one more cheers. Cheers, clink, whatever you're drinking. Bailey's, I don't judge, knock yourself out. And we'll get started here. So, thank you for joining me. In case we haven't met, my name is Laura Libby. I'm also known as the award winning burlesque performer Ophelia Flame. I'm the founder of Minnesota's first school of burlesque called the Twin Cities Burlesque Academy and have traveled performing and teaching the art of the tease for the last 2 decades. Addition to being a burlesque performer and an instructor, I'm also a wife and a mother, a massage therapist, a group fitness instructor teaching vinyasa, meditation, yoga, indoor cycling, and a moving meditation practice called Nia. I am postmenopausal. I am 52 years old, and having lived a fairly wild and reckless life, the fact that I'm 52 seems like utterly hilarious. I find bodies fascinating at every stage of life, and I believe that these experiences give me a unique sense of intuition and understanding of the body, which supports my deep desire to move people to love themselves and discover their truest potential. Now, I have to say, my inner naysayer Gen X self like sort of cringes at that woo, but it's true. It's true. I really love to help people discover their truest potential. And so, though I had no idea it would unfold this way, I've discovered that the foundation of my work for the last 30 years has been about helping guide others through personal transformation using movement, self-healing, and artistic expression. But despite my love for anatomy and physiology and what I felt like was a really deep connection to my own body awareness, my personal transition into menopause has been a confusing experience with a myriad of symptoms ranging from mild to fucking extreme that have been completely ignored or misdiagnosed by uninformed medical professionals. Though I didn't fully understand it at the time, my perimenopause roller coaster began at about age 45. When then, over the course of the last 8 years, I've experienced nearly every symptom in the book, eventually entering into menopause officially in April of 2020. Great timing, right? And in case you don't know, this is defined by going a full year without a period. So suddenly, I felt like my whole life had turned upside down. I felt invisible, insecure, uncertain, anxious, depressed, and frankly, wondering why I was even bothering to hang on. I felt like I completely lost myself. It was truly the darkest night of the soul. And what I didn't know then is that this is a common and powerful feeling during menopause transition, and that the reason so many of us are in the dark about this massive life change has a long history of gatekeeping, misogyny, misinformation, shame, and fear. And so it took breaking my wrist while ice skating in 2022. And mind you, it's something I've done my entire life and quite well. I broke my wrist ice skating. And when that happened, I discovered that I actually had early stages of osteoporosis. This was due to the rapid loss of estrogen. So silver linings, that experience finally led me to the right path of getting the help that I just desperately needed. It took me some time to research and even understand what my needs were and even what questions to ask. And thanks to a tip from a friend, I found an awesome clinic and the first clinician who actually listened to me, Just sit on that for a moment, because I guarantee that there are many of you that this speaks to, that you have been dismissed and not heard. I did a blood test that revealed my hormone levels were extremely low, and my physician said, "No wonder you feel like shit." So here's some big facts that I've learned before I share the rest of that story is that 1.1 million women experience menopause transition annually in the US alone. Only 1 in 4 general practitioners have had any education about menopause, which is why so many prescribe Prozac and birth control pills for menopausal symptoms. P.S. If that is happening for you, DM me. No bueno. There are other options. I've learned that the vast majority of OBGYN's medical school education is about diagnosing cancers and serving young women trying to have babies, avoid pregnancy, or give birth, which is sort of ridiculous. I mean, though we need those people too, that's wonderful. But the fact that they are not given that information is sort of ridiculous, since statistically 1 in 5 women are not having children for a variety of reasons. And it's estimated that by 2030, there will be 47 million people, anyone assigned a ovarian system, will enter into menopause each year. 47 million people entering into menopause each year. I am terrible at math, and I can see that there are some stupid discrepancies in these numbers. And I believe that the reason the current age group, myself included, transitioning into menopause, the reason we are so completely clueless about what's happened is largely because of the trauma and the shame and fear experienced by the last 3 generations. That is a whole other story about, the long journey of how we got to such unawareness and dysfunction. I tell you, it's not your fault, and it's sort of a setup, but that's a whole other talk. I've learned that menopause is a physiological, biological, cultural, familial, and spiritual, for many, rite of passage that can be 10 to 20-year long journey with constantly changing symptoms, and every single experience is completely unique. 10 to 20 years long. Really? Y'all didn't think to give us a fucking heads up on this? No wonder it's such a shock. Over 80% of people report severe anxiety and depression. 80%. Women of color may begin perimenopause earlier and experience more intense symptoms and have a longer transition period. And 73% of women don't seek treatment for their symptoms at all. 80% of women say they feel unprepared for menopause. So, what the hell? So, while it's not for everyone, my doctor and I discussed the benefits and risks of taking bioidentical hormone therapy. I have to admit that I had a whole lot of judgment around it. Even though I didn't really entirely understand what it was, previously I felt like HRT, hormone replacement therapy, was just another way to deny women the natural process of aging, developed by pharmaceutical companies. And of course, the world has been shouting from the hilltops for decades that estrogen causes cancer. After reading more about the new studies and updated science around HRT and the recently refuted study that claimed that estrogen caused cancer, called the WHI study, the Women's Health Initiative study, again, whole other discussion, I decided to give it a try because, frankly, I fucking did not have anything to lose. I felt like at that point. So, and this was to ease my extreme hot flashes and night sweats and just really emotional imbalance, but also to protect against heart disease, improve brain cognition, reverse my osteoporosis, and to help rebuild bone and muscle mass, which I had lost greatly. I also returned to exercising. Lifting weights, weight bearing exercise is super important for women as we age. And really looking at my nutrition and doing a anti-inflammatory nutritional protocol. So it's not a one-stop fix. It's definitely has been a process and an ongoing process. I feel very supported by my doctor, who's super cool, and I feel like really answers questions, is very informed, and it's a process that we're doing together, which is really what I feel all medical, interactions, relationships should be with our physicians. So 6 months after starting HRT, man, y'all, I feel like I'm back. After a long, confusing 8-year journey, I feel like I'm finally myself again. And it's difficult to describe. I have a dear friend who I think is here today with us, who is on HRT and said, you don't have to feel this way. And when I asked, like, well, what is it like? She just said, I feel like myself again. I don't feel like I'm 20. That's not what I'm going for. I just feel like myself again. And so, friend, I understand what that's like. And it's really something that it's something that you just know in your being. So I feel have returning to feeling physically strong as I continue to rebuild muscle. And I just feel more confident and even, dare I say, Gen X, optimistic. And though my journey has been a rough road, um, it's really inspired me to redefine and demystify aging by empowering women to be seen and heard while finding confidence and pleasure, hello, in living at any age. I want women, particularly the next generation of women, to feel informed and supported and, dare I say, celebrated through their transition. And I believe there's a strong movement to make this happen, and new science and information is encouraging more clinics and providers to get on board and stop leaving aging women behind. Earlier this year, I started something called Wisdom Circles, which I know many of you attended, which are, I call, discussions on menopause, transition, and other informative, humorous, empowering, sometimes humbling, and often ridiculous stories about aging. And these awesome conversations have been a delight and were created to normalize the conversation and to destigmatize menopause. And I really feel that by sharing our stories and our inherent wisdom, our open discussions build knowledge, offer tools, and support so we can better navigate our own unique experiences. Every woman's experience is unique and valid. So this spring, I also became a certified menopause support coach through Burrell Education. And this program was about 30 hours of deep dive into understanding the science of menopause transition and how to support and better serve women. And on a personal level, this connected so many dots for me and began to round out my own understanding of what's happening, what's happening and what happens and why. And it helped me to build like an apothecary of resources and connections to some super kick-ass people, many of which who are fighting the same fight. And so with this solid foundation, I began to fold in my own life experience around building self-confidence while, as I mentioned, finding pleasure and joy in living in our now bodies, not our yesterday bodies, not our tomorrow bodies, but our bodies now. And for many of us, this is a really new body. For me, super new body. There are many times where I've been like, whose body is this? It's the weirdest, can be the weirdest transition. So I begun rather creating a program that dives deeper into the spiritual aspects of personal transformation that occurs in menopause, that supports and encourages discovery of this new sense of self that is intended to really unite mind, body, emotion, and spirit of our most confident, dare I say, sensual and powerful elder selves. I've also been working on an incredible weekend retreat with my dear friend Stacy Deegan, who is an acupuncture and doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, who is also specializing in this important work. And I love working with Stacy. We really have this flow going together about combining both the Eastern and Western paradigms of medicine and healing, and finding stuff that alternative things for everyone. So next week I'm launching a new class called Teaser Size, which is the virtual fitness class with Sass that is a full body conditioning class that uses the fundamental movements of burlesque exercise. Y'all, it is so dumb. It is so fun. I hope that you'll join me. It is really welcoming and for all levels. There's a free class happening on Tuesday. It's the teaser size teaser. Tuesday, 5:30 Central Standard Time, and it's virtual. The full session runs 6 weeks, is September 19th through October 24th. Of course, drop-ins are welcome, but if you register in advance, there you can save a whopping 30 buckaroonies. World Menopause Day. It's a thing. October 18th. October 18th. I'm currently working out the details to do a virtual summit, which is going to be super cool. So stay tuned. And my first course, Welcoming the Crone. I know you don't like that word, but that's important to know. That is even part of the course. Welcoming the Crone, Discovering the Wise Woman Within will be available soon as a recorded module, and I'll likely be doing it again in person here locally. I'm going to be doing one-to-one coaching options. Will also be returning in the new year. So this journey has been the biggest and one of the most difficult experiences in my life, and I've been through some shit. I'm sure you all have too. And perhaps menopause is easy for you. And that is my greatest wish. But for many of us, it is not. And I know that while it's been challenging, I am better for it. And I'm delighted to say I truly feel like I'm stepping into like the greatest chapter of my life. And that's super cool. And I want that for others. And so I just, yeah, I'm just very optimistic and have lots of ideas, and really am thrilled to be in union and community with a group of badass women, and look forward to journeying with you some more. So thank you for joining me today. I welcome your story, your questions. Um, Here following, if you want to type them into the chat. But I also lastly want to share, tell your stories and ask your questions and connect with each other, and know that you're not alone. It can feel really isolating and really like, what the fuck is going on? You're not alone. And as many elder women say, the best is yet to come. So thank you for joining me, and I welcome. Oh, look at y'all chatting. I welcome if you have any questions. Good morning. Um, so lovely to see your chat. Sorry, I wasn't able to watch while we were chatting. Um, so if you have any questions, otherwise, or any thoughts you'd like to add, otherwise we will conclude. And yeah, I'm just so grateful that you joined me this morning. Teaser size, Tuesday. Let's shake it. Sending you all lots and lots of love. Enjoy your beautiful day and your beautiful selves.